Alright, let me set the stage for you here. You were scrolling through YouTube recommended when you spot an Ascension video. You instantly become infatuated with the concept. You immediately start downloading and your mind begins to spin with potential spec ideas. A Shadow Priest Affliction Warlock? A Resto Druid Shaman Hybrid? Or maybe even a Protection Warrior Paladin tank? You finish the download and quickly create a character. Upon logging in, you begin to flip through the roughly 70 different available abilities starting at level 1. Suddenly, it hits you. Demonology Warlock and Beastmaster Hunter? Master of Beast and Demons? That sounds sweet. You quickly sift through the pages and find Demonology Warlock and learn Imp. Oh shit, it's Wild Card. You sprint over to the nearest boar and begin to tame it. Immediately you feel bubbles of excitement as you watch the bar slowly fill up. Now for the Imp. Wait a second. Why is the... Oh. That story was roughly based on my first time playing Ascension, and it's very likely you went through the same process at some point too while playing. I've been obsessed with summoner and pet classes ever since I could remember, from just a simple companion pet class to a necromancer who raises an army to battle his foes. I love it all. Of course, this passion for pets translates to Ascension. Imagine rolling up to a dude with a Felguard, Chimera, and 2 feral spirits and watching them go to town.
This is not right, this is not cool.
The sad truth is, more than one pet is a balancing nightmare. Remember Fungarians during League not even 3 months ago? The actual fest that was 6 minions applying a stupidly strong poison effect? Essentially warping PvP to be Fungarians or Fungarians counterbuilds exclusively? Yeah. Anyways, I come to you now bearing some solutions for our pet problem. I want to quickly note that all my suggestions are purely for fun, and most of them would probably require some serious testing and number tweaking, but with that out of the way, I would like to start with my first idea, which is un-RE related. Personally, I feel that you should be allowed to control both a demon and hunter pet just as a normal game feature. Obviously, that would be insane just as is, so to balance that out, I would think there could be a damage debuff on the player and pets. Without testing, I wouldn't know a correct number to suggest, but by rough estimate, I would say 33% damage reduction would suffice. This would require you to use both your pets effectively, as well as lower the player's ability to abuse having 2 pets for free. I think this would be a quick, and hopefully, elegant solution. Just as a side note, I think this ability could be reworked into an epic or legendary if really desired. Of course, I'm curious to know what you think about this idea, and if you agree or disagree, please let me know. Something important I also wanted to mention is that there isn't very much variance when it comes to pet REs. The only legendary pet RE for demons is Demonic Influence. While that's really cool, you're pretty much forced to build around it. And the only really viable legendary for Hunter spec is Unrelenting Wrath, and I feel it's really basic and doesn't really evoke like interesting gameplay. My first idea would be called Impressive Imp. The RE would read, your imp is now incredibly powerful and will cast randomly currently learned destruction spells, besides Shadow Fury. Firstly, I imagine this would be easy to implement in a technical sense, because there's already another RE very similar to it called Guardians of the Groves. Additionally, I feel like it pushes the demon spec in a different direction, which doesn't require you to be in Metamorphosis all the time. I also wanted to mention that you could very easily just buff the damage of your imp if it's too weak, or rework it into an epic RE, which only sometimes casts currently learned destruction spells, or at reduced effectiveness. You know what bothers me? There are currently 0 unique water elemental REs, and I think our watery friend deserves some love. So I designed an epic RE called Chaotic Elemental. It would read, your water elemental will now spawn randomly as Arcane, Fire, or Frost. I will now list out the unique abilities gained for the Fire and Arcane Elemental. Fire Elemental will have its freeze ability replaced with Explosion, which functions as a ranged blast wave. Water Bolt will be replaced with Scorch, simply doing fire damage. Arcane Elemental will have a ranged Arcane Explosion, which does high damage. And the ability Water Bolt will be replaced with Arcane Missiles as a channeling cast. And of course, Water Elemental will stay the same. So I really like this idea. Probably one of my favorites I've come up with. I think it fits the wacky side of Mage really well, and I designed this RE specifically to not be very powerful and have some high variance. In my opinion, there should always be some unique but not extremely powerful REs. And while it's not very powerful, it still has some applications, unlike other things. Finally, for the Hunter pet RE. This one is kind of complex, but I think I nailed the flavor on it. This legendary would be called Good Boy. You receive an ability called Dog Treat. Each time you cast Dog Treat, your Hunter pet receives a stacking buff of Excited, each stack increasing its damage dealt by 10%, stacking up to 3 times, lasting 8 seconds. If you cast Dog Treat and while your pet has 3 stacks of Excited, your pet will lose all stacks of Excited and become stuffed, lowering its movement speed by 80% and damage by 30% for 8 seconds. I really love the idea of giving your pet treats, and if you're not too careful, you could overfeed them. In the same respect, I'm a huge fan of giving players the ability to play their spec correctly or incorrectly. Obviously this isn't a super complex mechanic, but when you're PvPing or raiding, this is another thing to keep track of, and if you don't do it correctly, you'll be punished. Also, if you have any unique pet REs yourself and you want to share, put them in the comments and I'll read them. I'd like to thank you for watching if you got this far. This is a new kind of thing I wanted to try and do. I've never really done video essay from the ground up, so let me know what you think. And if you want to see more or less of this, let me know. But that's all I got for now, so have a good one.